Unveiling the Zapatista Movement.
You find yourself working at your local OXXO convenience store on a nice and lovely day in Las Margaritas, Chiapas. You find yourself doing quite well at the counter as it has been months since the last robbery. Without warning, swift men in army gear and head coverings, showing only their eyes, come barging in. You put your hands up and showing vulnerability as there is no place to hide or run. Surprisingly, they do not threaten you or try to intimidate you. A man in a black mask with a red star on the side, which you presume is their leader, walks up to you and non-violently exclaims that you should shut the store down for the next couple of days and get to somewhere safe. You shut the store down for the day, and just as you walk out, you hear loud yells and gunshots too. It's an attack, but you as well as other civilians are not targeted. It's the government that's being targeted by this group. This here has marked the beginning of an uprising by the EZLN, also known as Los Zapatistas. We will be describing who are the Zapatistas, what did they do, and what is their goal or purpose.
On December of 1993, U.S. President Bill Clinton signed the North America Free Trade Deal with aka NAFTA. Now, what is NAFTA law? You may ask. This law attempted to create a free trade zone among all three North American countries. It basically reduces taxes on goods and services. As it went into effect, many people had a positive outlook on its purpose. Although serving a good purpose, some people weren't all too happy with what they received on their end.
Chiapas is a state located at the southernmost tip of Mexico. It's a fairly sized state, somewhat the size of South Carolina. It's not a popular state compared to the other states, but it does have its own unique characteristics such as long lakes and treacherous mountains. The economy in Chiapas is based on agriculture, coffee being the biggest produced, conquering 40% of Mexico's harvest. It's a diverse region that varies in many different indigenous groups, including the Tzetzal, Tzotzil, and Tojabahal. To the people of Chiapas, the NAFTA law did nothing but good. People lost jobs, employment went down, farmers couldn't even work as efficiently as they used to. Everything ended up becoming a big mess. Why, you ask? Didn't the NAFTA law aim to better the economy? While that was the goal, it didn't apply equally to everyone. Chiapas's people were upset and offended that the law paid no attention to their agriculture and economical issues. This is where EZLN come in. EZLN, also known as the Zapatistas, are a group of military-trained men, usually indigenous, coming from Chiapas. Once the NAFTA law was put into effect, EZLN leader Subcomandante Marcos announced war against the Mexican government. The Zapatistas did recognize the negative impact on the Chiapan economic infrastructure. For once, the indigenous people of Chiapas felt recognized and heard. The two only fought for 11 days, conquering the majority of Chiapas. Subcomandante Marcos and the Mexican government came to an agreement and settled on a ceasefire. In the short-term impact of the Zapatista uprising, it drew attention to the issues of indigenous rights and social inequality. It prompted the Mexican government to engage in negotiations with the EZLN. In 1996, the San Andres Accords were signed. This had stated a program of land reform, indigenous autonomy, and cultural rights.
In the long-term impact, the Zapatistas movement had a lasting impact on Mexico's and global activism. While the armed conflict subsided, the Zapatistas continued their struggle throughout peaceful means. They inspired discussions about alternative forms of government and social justice. The movement also raised awareness of indigenous rights, sharing ongoing discussions on these issues in Mexico and beyond.
In conclusion, the Zapatista movement uprising in Chiapas sparked the discontent with the NAFTA law, stands as a significant chapter in Mexican history. This brief yet intense conflict not only shed light on the struggles of indigenous communities and social inequality, but also compelled the Mexican government to engage in negotiations with the EZLN. The short-term impact was marked by the signing of the San Andres Accords in 1996, addressing some indigenous rights. In the long term, the Zapatista movement has left an enduring legacy, inspiring global discussions on alternative governance and social justice. As the armed conflict subsided, the Zapatistas persist in their peaceful struggle, underscoring the importance of recognizing and addressing the rights and autonomy of indigenous populations. The echoes of the Zapatista uprising continue to resonate, shaping ongoing conversations not only in Mexico, but also on the global stage.
Unveiling the Zapatista